Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something I honestly never thought I would be talking about on my channel again, but here we are. This is the new palette from Morphe. This is the Jaclyn Hill palette. If you're familiar with my channel at all, you know that mainly my love is definitely for the higher end. I have reviewed Morphe one time on my channel. I do not hate the brand. I don't really have a lot of thoughts towards the brand. It's simply that I am a shadow girl. I'm very picky about my shadows, and the 350 for me was just a miss. I'll link that video down below. I didn't say it was a horrible palette or anything like that. It's just, for me, the shadows definitely faded throughout the day. They kind of muddied together a little bit. So I never really had any interest in ever getting another Morphe palette. That's me. If you like Morphe, I'm not going to tell you any different. We all like something different. So insert the disclaimer here, I'm not bashing Morphe. When I heard that this palette was supposed to have a different formula, and it being Jaclyn Hill, such a big YouTuber, such a big name in the industry, she's collaborated with Becca. She's been such a force in this community that I was like, okay, if she's coming out with this palette and she's saying that it's a different formula, then I, as a YouTuber, feel like I kind of need to get it. I need to tell you guys, is this exactly the same as the 350? Do I think it's worse? Do I think it's better? I wanted to test it out for you guys. Now, whether or not that's actually the case, I couldn't tell you. They have updated it on their website. Originally, I believe that it was kind of marked the same, and people were like, wait. But then it was updated to be different. I don't know. I am going to tell you guys what I think about it based on results. Ingredients, how they are pressed. I know that she said that all these are pressed differently. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the case anyway, depending on formulas. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on my eyes and I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about them. Before I get into the tutorial and how I feel about these shadows, I am going to tell you guys a little bit about the palette. So what we have here is a white palette. This is cardboard. Like, straight up cardboard. I am going to get this thing disgusting. It says the Jaclyn Hill palette, Morphe, and then Morphe times Jaclyn Hill all over the back with a bunch of J and H's. I'm not a fan of this. I would honestly prefer the plastic one that they came with before, but that's just me. Inside you have 35 brand new shadows. This is what they look like here. I'm going to insert a picture of them in natural light as well so you can see the truest color. And then up here, instead of a mirror, which I feel like for $38 plus almost $10 shipping, there should be a mirror, but that's my 2 cents. This palette is dedicated to all my loving subscribers, XO Jaclyn. Cute touch, still want a mirror. Speaking of the price, this one is a lot higher priced than any of the other ones. I want to say the other ones were like $22. That might have been after discount. I'll write it down below if I'm speaking incorrectly, but this is definitely more expensive than the previous palettes. What I will say are these colors are stunning. When I'm looking at this palette, I just think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I do think that this is the best laid out palette that they have had, in my personal opinion. This is the one that I, color-wise, would reach for the most. There are a few shades that I would say are a little bit repetitive, but overall, I feel like the 350 was way worse about that. My biggest complaint is this here, 2 shimmer shades. Like, I can't. I wanted one of those to be a matte shade. There's not enough difference on the eye to justify having 2 shimmer shades. And I understand, like, she had this whole thing as to why she had 2 shimmer shades, but I wanted a matte one. My next complaint about this palette is she spent all this time naming all of these shadows, and some of them have some really cute names, some of them have some really interesting names, but the only ones that got the names are the people that got sent the palette. I obviously bought mine myself, and there's no sheet in here to tell me what the names are. Now, do you really think that I'm going to go and find all the names to these so that I can read them out to you? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So when I'm doing the tutorial, I will have a picture of the palette and a little star over the shadow that I am using because I don't have the time. But that is really irritating to me because I just feel like if you're going to take that time to name every single one of these shadows, why can't we all have that little piece of plastic that had the names in them? Why? Upon swatching these, the first row definitely was really nice, second row good. When I got to this third row, this was questionable for me, and I'm going to show you guys the swatches right now. So I have all of them. I didn't do row by row. I did 2, 2, and then 1. But this row right here was definitely just, I don't know, something about them just kind of like, ah. And the funny thing is I swatched them on Drew after I had already done an eye look. So I did an eye look and I wore it to work because I wanted to test out how long these shadows lasted on my eyes. Because like I said, the 350 did not last on me at all. Like it was gone. So I wanted to see how long it lasted. And I went straight for those blues, honey. So I wore this shade, this shade, this shade, and some of these up here. And I'm gonna show you guys a picture. This is what kind of blew my mind. I wore the shadows, I wore them for 12 hours. So I'm gonna show you a picture of it right when I finished my eye. I took a picture and I was right here in front of these lights because this is how I get ready. But then 12 hours later in the car in traffic, I took a picture of the eye again. So like the color is a little different, like even my skin tone is a little different because we're in 2 different lighting situations. But I wanted to show you guys how well they stayed on my eyes. I didn't get creasing. I got a little bit of fading, but honestly I get fading with just about every shadow that I wear. But I did not have that same result the first time when I used the 350. So I was immediately impressed. I was like, okay. But then I swatched those shadows and that row was like, oh, I don't know. So I was going to do that same eye look because I wanted to show you guys that, and I thought it was really pretty. I got compliments all day at work, all day. They're like, oh my God, I love your eye. But because of how this one swatched, I decided I wanted to use the majority of this row for this eye look so that I could see if it just didn't swatch very well or if I was going to have issues with it. This shade right here, I had a few issues with. It was pigmented, it was fine, but I kept having to go in, and even right now I feel like it's a little bit more dull than when I first applied it. So this one is a fader. It's a fader. Now these right here, I purposefully did not use any Fix Plus when using the palette because I wanted you guys to see how it actually looked without adding in that effort. If you put the Fix Plus with it, it's going to be even better, but I was not mad at it. So the row was fine. It was just this shade right here. But because I used different shades for this eye look, I am going to leave down below in the description box whether or not it faded. I've already taken a picture, so I'm going to see if it fades or if I have any other issues with these colors versus the blues. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the tutorial for this eye look. Again, I'm not going to try with the names. I'm just going to put a little star where whichever shadow I am using. So let's go ahead and jump into this, and then I'm going to tell you guys my final thoughts at the end. First row, shade 3 and a MAC 217, and I'm going to pop this in the crease and then work it up as a transition shade. And I'm going to layer this up because I want a little bit more pigmentation than what I got right off the bat. Now I'm going to go in with the shade directly below that and the same brush, and I'm going to deepen up the crease. Third row, shade number 6 on a MAC 221. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to deepen up the crease with it. I'm basically going lighter, medium, and then darker just to kind of create a little bit of a transition, but I'm keeping them lower as I go down. I'm taking the shade directly to the left of that, and I'm going to pop this on the outer V here. MAC 242 and the very first shade in row 3. I'm going to pop that all on the inner, like the inner half. Second shade in that row and the same brush. I'm kind of going to merge the first shade and the end shade together, and then I'm going to go back and deepen that outer edge, that dark shade. I'm going to deepen it back up. Going back in with that shade we used at the very end, and I'm going to deepen it up and then go into the crease with it. Second row, fourth shade. I believe this one is called Pukey, I'm not sure. And a NARS 42. I barely tapped into there, and I'm going to just dust this right on the outer half of my eye, just to kind of smoke out this outer edge. Second row, last shade, and I am going to use a MAC 219, and I'm popping this about halfway from the inner corner to halfway, and I'm not using Fix Plus. Same brush, second row, third shade, and I'm doing this outer half with it. I'm taking the red shade and I'm popping it on the outer corner here. I had to dip in twice. I'm gonna add a little bit more up here as well. I feel like I'm losing some of that depth, that red shade, so I'm adding it in again, right up here. I want to keep my dimension, but I feel like it's fading. I feel like this color is fading very quickly. Top row, second shade for my brow arch. Ooh, that was intense. So I'm going to buff that out with my finger. And I used a MAC 283. Last row, first shade, and I'm going to take a little bit of blue on this inner corner because why not? Just don't go overboard with it, or do. It's up to you. Alright, so I purposefully did not use black liner. I kind of wanted to for the look, but I decided not to because I didn't want to cover up too much, so I used Rich Ground from MAC. You guys know I love that. Just mascara, and then I put NW20, NC15 NW20 Chromographic pencil in my waterline. And yes, let's get into the actual review. I hate the package. I hate that there's no mirror, and I hate that there's no names, but I do think that this performed better than the 350. So I am going to say that it is better quality just based on how it looks. Like even this eye looks better than the 350 did in my personal opinion. The only shadow I had an issue with fading was that red color. I personally don't feel like it was justified for the price increase. Maybe like $5, I can understand that, but I feel like this is a downgrade in package. I'm sure that for them it's cost more because it's not their typical package, but I feel like I would have rather have had the black. Even put like the shiny like film over this so that it won't get all disgusting. But if you're interested in Morphe, I would definitely say this is the palette to get, but it's expensive, you guys. It's almost 50 bucks because it's 38. You can use a discount code. I use Trend Moods. It saves you 10% off, so like $3.80, not a big deal. It's not a huge savings, but I wouldn't go into purchasing this palette and thinking that it's going to be just night and day quality wise. I do think it's better quality, like I said previously. I am probably actually going to keep this one. I didn't keep the 350, I sold it as soon as I was done with the review because I just didn't like it. But I do wish that it was either the same price as their previous palettes or maybe just like $5 more. And again, that's just complaining about a 38. Really, it's like 50 bucks because of shipping. But it's still not bad. For what you're getting, it's really not bad, and I am glad that it is better, in my opinion, than the previous ones. And that's just saying I've only tried the 350, so Morphe people, please do not yell at me down below. And no drama. No drama at all. I will delete it all, because I don't want to see it. I don't want to be a part of it. Another note, it's about to storm, so my lighting is going crazy. I want to know what you guys want to see in like some next videos. I have the Ordinary foundations, probably not even my color anymore, but this one is the Coverage foundation I can review. I've also got the Double Wear Nude Water Fresh foundation, and then I also kind of thought about doing like the Double Wear up against the Teint Idole, and yeah, just kind of seeing 24-hour to 24-hour foundation, see how they hold up against each other. But anywho, yeah, just let me know, and I'll see you guys in my favorites video. I think that's what we're doing next. All right, bye guys.